in my 20s, I was dating this gal, and her parents were in Malaysia for a few. So when I had met her, they were in Malaysia as English teachers, if I'm not mistaken. Mom didn't like Malaysia because it's a Muslim country, of course. So I heard they came back because of her distaste for it, and they bought a place. I don't know, a couple hours away. And I had met them in the summertime at their cottage. Seemed like nice people, and then they just bought this new place close to the city. And we were going over for Christmas, and I think it was the day before Christmas, if not like Christmas Eve. And they're unpacking, doing a few things, and I try to make myself useful. There's a fucking stereo stand you got to put together, and a TV and all that sort of stuff. So, I'm helping out with that, and we're chopping it up. And she marches into the room, the mom, and she said something along the line. I can't remember the dad's name. We'll just call him Bill. She marches in and she goes, "Bill, there's that big stone in the backyard that needs to get moved. When are we going to move that stone, Bill?" Again, keep in mind, this is practically Christmas Eve. There's family, friends coming over. And I look out the back window and I'm like, "What stone?" And I gestured, my girlfriend at the time. She's like, "That one over there." Dude, it was a fucking boulder. She wanted him to like roll this boulder out of the backyard somewhere on Chris. Like, she was almost demanding him to do this at the time. And I think that when women watch this behavior between their parents, like even if the parents are still together, they start to mimic that as they become adults themselves. Like I've had other experiences with women where it's like, at the whim, dad will come over, drop anything and do it like on the spot. Like I had a friend, his kid was being born one day, and his wife at the time had chirped on her dad to come over to hang up some giant painting. And he's like, "What are we doing? Like, let's go to the fucking hospital. We have a baby coming, and you want to angle this thing right," sort of thing. Or, they'd be sitting on the couch, he was saying, and he would notice like a hat sort of bobbing in the backyard. And he's like, "We got an intruder. I got to deal with it." Steps to attention sort of thing. But it turns out, she had asked her dad to come over to fix some shit in the backyard with the sprinkler system sort of thing. So, you also get like the other end of the spectrum where it's like, she has such a, I don't want to say a good relationship, but such a close relationship that she can pull his strings to do just about anything. And in situations like that, I mean, I've got friends that have lived through this. I've lived through it myself. You'll find yourself at a point eventually where she's going to try to run you the same way that she saw her dad being run by her mom. So that's another area that you got to be careful with daddy issues. It's like, with boundaries, and quite often, guys, I see guys on social media say this all the time, or certain people in certain spheres will say, "Well, you can't really vet women, so don't even try." And it's like, red flags, or they'll try to like chop at the red flag chapter or something like that, because it's got a lot of reach and a lot of fucking grip now. And it's like, no, I don't buy it, because it's like, you can watch a woman's behavior, you can see how she responds to certain inputs, and you can make decisions about wanting to invest in her further. Maybe it's parental investment, having children with her. Maybe it's taking her on trips. Maybe it's doing whatever. But you can and you should vet women against these red flags, because you can have a relationship with any chick you want. You can have a relationship with all 21 of these red flags, but your life will suck. Your life will be miserable. You're going to fucking hate yourself. You're not going to sleep. You may even want to self-delete. Trust me. I mean, a lot of these are really troublesome. Like, we'll get through them all, but you're far, far better off. I mean, she asked for your commitment. She wants to see you. Let's see what she's made of. Let's meet her family. Let's see how her mom treats her dad. Let's see if there's any of that behavior that she starts to pick up on. This is what you're supposed to do with this sort of stuff, guys, because far too many guys will just march into a relationship. "Oh, she touched my pee-pee and she responded to my text, so I'll marry her, or I'll be her boyfriend." It's like, and you don't even know what you're getting into, and you wonder why everything goes downhill after you make the commitment.
Yeah, and it's not her fault. Like, what she sees is normal is what she's going to perceive as normal. Like, parents fighting and mom running the show and saying, "Do this, fix that, go do that, pick up this, don't put this where it is." And just seeing a dad walk around the house being browbeaten and having the woman run the show, she's going to think that's the way things normally are. And she's just going to emulate that for her future relationships. So, and it's, yes, women are malleable. Yes, they will go along to get along. Yes, if you are that guy, there's a lot of things that they will sacrifice, and there's a lot of things but the really deep rooted things when you're talking about from a young, like, this whole feminist stuff, like women aren't really coming into that until they get to, I mean, now maybe it's their teens, but it used to not be until they got to college and they started learning all of this stuff and they became taking sociology and, poli-sci majors and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's getting to the kids younger and younger now, which is a huge problem. But yeah, I mean, that's again, your most personal example of what a successful relationship is your mom and dad. And if you see how they act, you're assuming, well, they're two people, they're my parents, they love each other, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Therefore, how they're acting is normal. And that's how relationships should be done. So that's the example that I'm going to try to set for my own relationships, which ultimately, especially if, again, like she's starting to run your show. Yeah. It's really, and it's also incumbent on fathers to be able to draw boundaries and say no, because you got to cut the umbilical cord. You can't set them up for failure by being the constant failsafe. At some point, they've got to be able to fall and make mistakes on their own, or you've got to say, hey, there's a man in your life now. He is now responsible for you. It is no longer, my job to be there and take care of things, because I know guys that are like that, where it's like, look, yes, he's her dad, but I'm her husband, or I'm the guy that pays for the roof that's over her head, or the food that she eats, or allows her to stay home and take care of kids when I go and work. And so, there was a comment in there. I was like, well, what if she had a great relationship with her dad, but he was like a beta and he was like a male feminist? It's like, yeah, that's obviously not what we're talking about. We're talking about strong, virtuous male leader. I mean, it's better than not at all, but we're talking about, guys that are like us, guys that you would want to, emulate, or the kind of men that women would want to be in relationships with, essentially.
And, he may not be around. He may have passed. When she was younger. But, in the absence of that, you want to look for supportive family around her that can identify your merits and your fucking values and be like, Rich is a good man. He's good at being a man. And they sort of like slap her around a little bit and be like, smarten the fuck up, right? Like, knock it off, like, listen to this guy, sort of thing. You want to look for that in, her family if there's an absence of a father. But I mean, you're probably going to eliminate the vast majority of problems in the selection process, which is what the red flag chapter is all about, is like, use a thorough selection process when you're inviting a chick in your life. A lot of you guys ask me all the time, like, how do I find a wife? I want to have kids. There's a lot of problems out there. Like, start with the red flag chapter, guys. And it's free. You can get it for free just by getting on the email list. All right, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here, where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel, hit subscribe.